please check out this chaga video I have that's a little bit different than any other one you're going to find out there. I was lucky enough on this episode to bring those smarter foragers that I was talking about in my previous videos. I'm going to explain Chaga, and we're going to take a little trek on his property. Very lucky to do so. Alright, that's that monster we're going to go up today. Good morning, y'all. About 7 o'clock in the morning out here at Rangeley. So I'm going to show you today where I find my chaga, what it looks like. A lot of times you can tell by the trees, the surrounding trees, of whether you're going to find chaga or not. It's not just a matter of finding birch, it's a matter of finding the right birch at the right stage. Because a lot of times you'll find birch that's way too young, and the only places to find chaga on really young birch is going to be around where they log, where the old trees got scarred. I'm going to go snowshoe up this mountain and see if we can find some chaga. So I did want to do a little public service announcement for the chaga. I can harvest so much chaga every single day. I'm only out here to collect a piece. I have not been here before, but I'm sure I'll find some, because here in Maine, it is not rare. It's on birch. It's on the fastest growing tree in the woods. It does really good if you can find a place that has scarred edges. So logging, a lot of times along the edge, they leave young birch that are open to the chaga. The ability for it to get in earlier in its life cycle means that by the time it's 100 years old, that chaga is going to be that much bigger versus an 80-year-old tree that has a 20-year-old chaga. Like, you could have an 80-year-old tree that has 60-year-old chaga or 70-year-old chaga. It's one of those things. I've seen some massive chagas that would have took up this entire screen right now. Chaga isn't necessarily the easiest thing to find, especially if you're in a place that doesn't have a lot of birch. Then you're pretty much out of luck. I hope you enjoy. Off to find the chaga. From the distance, I think I can see some birch that way. Right all the way up top there. Oh, up there. That's chaga.
Here we have chaga, Inonotus obliquus. Most people think this is a mushroom. It's not a mushroom. It's a sterile conch, or some people call it a sclerotian. It's basically stored excess energy composed of compressed hypha, basically compressed, mashed up mycelium is mostly what this is. And chaga grows on white birch, yellow birch, and sometimes eastern hop-horn bean. You can see here that it has a corky, sort of a corky yellow-orange interior, and then the exterior gets a lot of melanin in it for protection. And then, but you can make tea or tincture out of this from all parts of the chaga, the interior and the exterior, no problem. And the tea and the tincture both taste good. So chaga is not rare, and chaga, in terms of so-called sustainability, it's mostly a silly conversation because it does not make spores. It's not part of the reproduction cycle. A lot of that boils down to boo-hoo, somebody cut my chaga. Other than that, chaga will continue to grow and flourish for as long as we have birch trees. And we're not in any danger so far of not having birch trees in the woods of this area of Maine. Nothing to worry about.
I can tell you right now, that's chaga. When there's snow on top, it really helps to see with the black. That's a good sign. So when you see one That's when you just start looking around. It's actually a young stand around here, but that's when you look around. You can try to see if there's any other birch. This birch right here is really tiny, but it's already been scarred. You see how it's been scarred, and that is where the chaga would be able to get in. You can actually see some mushrooms right there. You can see that if it wasn't for that, a chaga could never get in. It couldn't get in through the bark, but it takes a scar, and as soon as it's scarred, see, this is tiny. That's a tiny tree. So if that actually had chaga coming out of there, which that's not chaga, but if it actually had it coming out, by the time that tree was a couple of feet across, that chaga could be just as big. So the majority of chaga I find is on white birch, but it's only because we have a lot more white birch here in Maine. That right there, that's a white birch. The white birch stays very pretty most of the time, a lot longer. It doesn't allow the chaga to get into it earlier. All right, y'all, there's chaga on a birch. You see up here. That's chaga. Gotta have a special tool now. You see, the trick of it is you just hit it. Doesn't take much. Little hammer, just whack. Yeah. There it is. A piece of chaga. And then you just gotta go gather it from the snow right there. Let's get this chaga. There we are. Now, I will show you how to dry it and then how to prepare it for consumption. See? Snow free. We'll take this home, go from there. That's what I do when I get home. I'll just take it and I'll just bring it down. Just put it next to a heater. Let it sit there for a week. Time you're done, it's lost a lot of its weight.
Warning, not medical advice. Please consult a medical professional. Do not consume chaga if hypoglycemic, have low blood pressures, on blood pressure medication, or have any kidney issues. The next segment in this video is me giving my personal experiences with chaga, not medical advice.
And the opinions are mine and mine alone. Chaga in my life has been a real benefit. I personally can't take it for too many days in a row. It does lower my blood pressures a bit much. But beyond that, if I am feeling ill, I will go to chaga. If I feel like my blood sugars are running too high, I will consume chaga for a few days in a row. Again, not medical advice. Please consult a medical professional. Instead of talking about it, how about I just show you? The black will be harder to do. And it'll more likely just break apart. If you have a little bit of the bark, it just makes it more bitter. And if you're just going to use a single use for a single person, that's more than enough. Let's go get that boiling. I can't consume chaga on a regular basis because it lowers my blood pressure too drastically. So I was able to witness somebody who was a type 1 diabetic for over 30 years reduce their insulin intake from 30 units down to 3. Now, high heat boil, it has reduced my blood glucose by around 20%. The longer method is a 3-day in a crock pot. Usually that makes it sweeter, more like a vanilla. This shorter version, 15 minutes or so, real high heat, is more like a coffee, has more of a punch to it. But the slow version, you do not want to put it above 180 degrees. You want to keep that crock pot on low or keep warm, but around 180 degrees. If it gets much above it, you'll start tasting it. It starts almost tasting burnt. 15 minutes. Some people like their chaga with a little lemon, others with honey. It's like a coffee, but I don't believe that milk and creamer would go with it. It's very rich. I've seen it beneficial to take chaga and burn it.
Please be careful burning this stuff. It does burn really hot.
And inhale it. For somebody who is dealing with an MS hug, those of you with MS probably know what I'm talking about. So anybody that tells you that chaga is something that can fix everything, they're wrong. Chaga is definitely not for everybody. I cannot consume it on a regular basis. Just do a little spritz of lemon. Now see, that's bold. You can use black tea with that, green tea. I suggest you let the chaga brew for a little while before you put the black tea or green tea in, but I don't need caffeine after this. That's so good with lemon. I personally like it with lemon. I don't need any sweetener. Oh, that's so good. Oh yeah.
Pores.
Wow. No kidding. Yeah.
Pores. Pores. All that's pores.
Wow. That is interesting.
It's like where it is matters, because weather and the sun can cause the black layer of the chaga to fall off from year to year, so it may grow out a little bit, but then it'll slough off on the outside. So it really does grow out, but then it falls off and dies back, so you don't really get very far. I have looked at, and I have cleaned it, you know, gotten the dirt out, because it used to catch dirt and needles down in here, right?
Yep.
And then it would get kind of funky in there, so I clean it out, get the dirt off, let it grow. And then this logger's helper went and took the chaga from me, and I was not happy about that. But in a relatively short few years, though, it has grown back, and it's actually a pretty nice chaga right there now. Not bad. I mean, it's not huge. It's starting to come out good here too. So see what I mean about the black stuff sloughs off on these things so easy. And considering the health of this tree looks passably good, you could probably cut this off again and expect it to grow back a third time. I have done that. It was actually over here quite a ways down through the woods where I got a chaga in the exact same spot 3 times over 11 years. Then the tree cashed in. Jeez, I think I might see one over there that I noticed before. Let me take a look. Discovering new chaga on my property after years and years.
Nice.
Maybe.
I'd be proud to be here for that.
Maybe not. It might be a chaga hallucination.
Yeah, they can be that way.
The tree looks like it might be dead. I think it is dead.
Yeah.
And this is one of those, like from your video, a scarred by a logger kind of tree.
Oh yeah, yeah, healed, yeah.
Look, there is some chaga here. There it is. Pretty cool, huh?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Right in there, it grew a scar right here. And this particular one, you can't see a reaction from the tree as much on this one as you can on a couple others that are right here too. I had 1 or 2 trees here that I had to cut. This particular tree had a chaga right here that I cut off once the tree started to die. And there's actually little nubs of chaga, one here and one here. Little bits left over. And in fact, you know how they say after the tree dies, it's over for the chaga?
Yeah.
Not right away. Not right away. Because this actually grew a little bit after the tree was dead. But see now, this tree, I think, is going to have the fruit body show up pretty soon. Which means the bark is going to split somewhere. And I think it might actually be right here where it's all swollen out. But this may split. The pores that run along the edge of the wood will be showing, and it will release those spores. But eventually, I think this is what's going to happen, is that this bark will split open. It'll open up just like a door. Fruit body will be underneath. Here, this bubbly part, I'm not too sure about this, because this could be something to do with chaga.
This is about the first year of growth for chaga. And this is about 3 years of growth. In this chunk of chaga, I saw about 8 years ago. I believe it was in its second year of growth then. So it's about a decade old.
A tree where there was a fruit body, but look at this here.
Oh yeah.
Pores. Wow. Pores. Pores. All that's pores. Wow. See, look at that. Pores. Pores right on chaga.
That is crazy. Yeah. I don't know if I've ever seen that.
I've never seen it anywhere.
That's awesome.
Cut.
Cut.